This was my first paranormal experience, and I hope to God that it will be my last. I was 13 when this happened. It was October, just before Halloween. My best friend came to my house so we can have a sleepover. You know, talk about boys, doing our nails and stuff. That night was raining really heavy, with thunderstorms that lighted the entire room. So dumb enough, we wanted to spook ourselves. I wasn't a super believer in the paranormal. We didn't talk about that much. But it was near Halloween, so the spooky vibe was there. My friend suggested we play with a Ouija board. I had one that I bought 2 years ago as a joke. We've played with it a couple times before, and of course it wasn't working. Someone else was moving the planchette, but we wanted to give it a try. We put the board on the floor, turned off the light, lighted 2 candles, and started with the questions. We asked more than 10 times, if there is anyone here, please give us a sign. After a few minutes of planchette not moving, we decided to quit and don't play anymore, because it wasn't working. As we said, this is bullshit. A really loud thunderstorm happened that really scared us. We screamed because we were so concentrated with hearing and seeing some sign of paranormal activity that we forgot about the weather. As we screamed, my mother came running to see what was going on. She entered the room, and when she saw that it had its lights off and just 2 candles that lighted the room and the Ouija board on the floor, she was mad. So we put the board away and laughed how silly we are and how we managed to scare ourselves. My bed was really big, so the 2 of us fit comfortable there, and I love when it's raining outside. The sounds are so calming, so we fell asleep soon. This is the part that I will never forget. I woke up a few hours later. A loud, heavy, deep breathing woke me up. It was still raining. It was still dark and was freezing cold. There was something heavy in the air. I don't know how to explain it. I thought it was my friend on the other side on the bed, that maybe she was sleeping in a weird position that made her breathing sound like that. I scooped closer to wake her up, but as I got closer to her, it felt like I was moving away from the sound of deep breathing, almost rasping sound. And my friend was sleeping tight and wasn't breathing abnormal. That meant that something else was making that noise and was in my room. I was really terrified. My heart started to beat like crazy. I managed to kick my friend and wake her up. She woke up and, with almost trembling voice, I asked if she could hear the breathing, or I'm just going crazy and imagining things. She heard it too. I wasn't imagining anything. We were both looking through the room to see what is making that terrifying noise. Our eyes adjusted to the dark, and the breathing became more angrier and louder, and it was coming from the corner of the room from my side of the bed. What we saw still haunts me to this day. There, in the corner of the room, was a really dark, tall, almost muscular-looking man with piercing red eyes, and was looking at us. We both froze in fear. My heart was beating like crazy. It stood there for what felt like eternity, just looking at us. And in one moment, slowly, it started to come closer and closer to us. We couldn't handle to look at this thing anymore. We put the covers over our head, and shaking and sobbing, we prayed to God, to this thing to go away. The breathing came closer and closer. We could feel its presence just inches away from the covers. It was the most sinister energy that I ever felt before. I felt like I couldn't breathe from fear. And then, something else happened. I felt the bed depress. Like this thing was starting to climb to our bed. I couldn't handle it anymore. I screamed. I was screaming so loud that my mom and dad bursted into my room and turned on the light. There was nothing there. We were both crying and shaking from fear. It wasn't freezing anymore, and the air wasn't heavy. Or maybe that was my fear talking. As shameful as it sounds, that night, with the lights on, my mom slept with us. There was no way we could sleep alone that same night. The next morning, my mom called a family friend that was a really spiritual person. He quickly did a cleansing in our house and took the Ouija board. 10 years have passed and nothing happened from that incident. But I still fear the dark. I still can't sleep in a completely dark room. I still fear that creature with piercing red eyes. I'm married now, and I finally think that I could start to relax a bit, because I feel safe with my husband. But one thing is for sure, I will never play with a Ouija board again. We played many times with the board, and nothing happened, but it only takes one time to make your life hell.